Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi Nazir Membeis. We are right on top of the Amud Omar Mar. Let's go back to the halacha mentioned the other day. It's a Mishnah in Negoim regarding those three individuals who are required to take a full haircut. We have the Nazir, who must shave all the hair off his head. We have the Metzora and Levim in the Midbar, who needed a full head-to-toe hair removal, and the Mishnah tells us all these haircuts are meant to be executed by way of a razor blade. Amamar, v'kulam shel gilchu sheloi besar. So all those people who took their haircuts without a tar, with another utensil, not a razor, or when they cut their hair, they left behind two strands uncut. Like asu v'leklum, they have not fulfilled their obligation. So shtei sa'ares, we learn it's a halacha l'mashim Sinai. It's me'akev. It's considered enough of a shear of hair, which makes the haircut incomplete and unfulfilled. But otherwise, even if it's not a full haircut, you would say you are yaitse, if not for the fact that we have this special halacha which tells you that two hair, that's one too many. We can deduce from here that typically most of something is considered as though you've done the whole thing. For instance, when it comes to shechting an animal, so roiv of the esophagus, roiv of the siman, rubai kekulei counts as though you did the whole thing and you have done shechita. And we see that halacha here as well. Why? Mimai. How do we know this? Because since the Torah tells us by the Nazir's haircut, it has to be full and complete. On the seventh day he cuts his hair. We're speaking about a Nazir became Tamei and must wait 7 days. So Yigal Chenu tells us that it has to be a full and comprehensive haircut. And Roiv is not enough, right? Because it's basically a repetition. The pasuk already says, on the seventh day, Vigilach Roishai. Why add the word Yigal Chenu to tell you it needs to be a full and complete hair removal? So what do we see from here? Hacha hu adi ikukule. It is specifically over here by the Nazir that a full haircut is required. Apparently, otherwise, regarding other halachas in the Torah, where there is no special pasuk to indicate fullness and completion. Even most of it, kikulai, would be considered as though the whole thing was done. Maskef Rabbi Chanina. So he has a kasha on Rav Acha, who just brought the pasuk of Yigal Chenu as a raya, as a proof that a full, complete haircut is required for a Nazir. How can you bring a raya from this pasuk? You know what this pasuk is describing? You know what it's relating to? Not your standard Nazir. Hi, ben Nazir tamiksiv. Seventh day. Well, what seventh day? We're talking about a Nazir became Tamei. And the Mishnah, which was the trigger point to the whole sugya, was that Mishnah Negoim, speaking about a regular Nazir, a Nazir who's tired, who's cutting his hair at the end of a 30-day period. Who's to say that you can compare the two things? Hi, ben Nazir tamiksiv. Machakola b'marov. So in the West, in Eretz Yisrael, they sort of chuckled on this. The Gemara in Sanhedrin tells us exactly who this is speaking about. It was a reference to a certain person. Actually, interestingly enough, the Tosfos here says, he has a kasha, he says, because the Gemara Sanhedrin Yud Zayin, we say that Machaku Allah b'marava was a special reference to Rabbi Yehuda Kessler. And over here, the Machaku Allah, they laughed on that, is going on something that was just said. And who was the one who just said that? None other than Rabbi Yehuda Kessler. So apparently, in this case, Machaku Allah b'marava is not a reference to Rabbi Yehuda Kessler chuckling. But it was a borrowed term, applies to somebody else, apparently. In any case, was a response to Rabbi Chanina. You're asking, well, that pasuk is by Nazir Tamei. The answer is like this. Michtig, let's analyze what's going on here. How do we even know that a Nazir became Tamei? Should cut his hair with a razor blade. Michtig, Nazir Tamei, the betar minolan. How do we even know that to be true? There's no pasuk about that by a Nazir Tamei. The pasuk speaks about cutting with a tar is relating to a Nazir tar, right? So the Nazir Tamei learns May Nazir tar Yalef. He learns from the Nazir tar. That just like over there it's besar, over here it's besar with a razor as well. And therefore we'll just go both ways. We'll learn back from Tamei to tar as well. Right? So min Nazir tar Yalef, laisi Nazir tar. By the same token, the Nazir tar will come along, but leilif min Nazir Tamei, and learn as well from the Nazir Tamei. Ma Tamei, just like by the Nazir Tamei, where it says Yigal Chenu, that repetition to indicate fullness and completion. Ki shir shtei sa'ares. V'loi klum avad, if he leaves behind 2 uncut hair, nothing doing. Hachanam here as well by Nazir tar needs to be a full haircut. Ki shir shtei sa'ares. If he shall leave behind 2 hair uncut, v'loi klum avad, indeed, that is not a fulfillment of the mitzvah. Here come some interesting questions regarding this 2 sa'ares, halacha. Boy Abai. Here comes question number 1 in the name of Abai. Nazir shegilach. Suppose a Nazir who completed his Naziris shaves his hair, v'shir shtei sa'ares, and in fact leave behind 2 uncut hair. Okay. So he has to go back and cut it, right? But he took his time. He waited until the rest of his hair grew back. For some reason he procrastinated and samach reishei. The rest of his hair, which he had originally removed, comes back. And now he remembers, oh, 1 second, I still have those 2 hair to cut. And he goes back and finds those 2 hair, which he had originally omitted from his haircut, cuts them. Mahu. Does that work or not? Shall we say it's ma'akiv, meaning the fact that he left those hair behind. Even if he comes back now to do it, it's too late. Because by now, his head is full of hair. You can't just cut 2. If all you have is 2, fine. Remove them and you're done. But by now, it's all regrown. You can't just go back and cut those 2 hair. So the fact that he left those behind, shall we say me'akvi, they prevent, they hold back. And he was not Yaitse Eloi, or shall we say no? He was missing those 2, now he did them. So that's an unresolved question presented by Abai. Furthermore, asks the Gemara, Abai Rav, I have a question as well. Nazir shegilach, a Nazir shaves, v'niach shtei sa'ares, and leaves behind 2 hair, uncut. V'gilach achas, v'noshra achas, mao. He comes back, he cuts 1 more, and the second one, well, he didn't get around to removing it, it just fell out on its own. What is the halacha here? On the one hand, he has no more hair. On the other hand, well, he didn't really remove both hair. And remember, 2 hair, that's a shear. It's a shear chashivas. So he didn't really do a proper hair cutting, proper giluach at this later date. He only took off 1. The second one just fell out on its own. Mahu, how would you deal with this case? I don't understand the question. Of course it's good. Gilach sa'ara. Sa'ara kamiboy leila Rav. Is Rav asking what happens if a person cuts 1 hair at a time? Meaning, suppose he approaches both of these, hair, and he cuts 1 and then cuts the other. Is there any question that it's okay? Of course it's okay. You don't need to do it both at the same time. The fact is, when he started, he had a shear to work with. He had two hair, which is the minimum for a giluach. And once he cuts one, you can't stop and say, well, there's nothing left, there's only one left, that's not giluach. It's part of the same process. The fact is, when he needed to make the giluach, when there were 2 hair left, he had a shear to cut. And the fact is, he did the giluach on the first one, and it was 1 out of 2, so it gave him a sufficient amount. There was enough presence, there was enough of hair presence there to make a shear giluach, and he was yaitz the giluach with that first one. The fact that the second one was cut later, if he actually cut it, in a situation where there were no more than just 1 hair left, that's not a problem, right? So same thing here. When he came to do his haircut, he had 2 hair left. That was a shear for giluach. He took 1 off. Right? So instead of cutting the next one, it fell out. That's also fine. Right? Again, the assumption is that you need to make a masa giluach on a shear giluach, which is 2. Right? So if there are 2 hair, go ahead and make the giluach. The fact is, once you remove 1, there no longer is a shear giluach hair. There is no 2 hair. So it's not even ma'akiv. Right? So what's the problem? So what's Rabbi asking? Gilach sa'arach kamibayle l'Rava. Right? Again, suppose he would have approached both here and done one and then another one. Right? Instead of doing it both together. Is that a problem? Of course it's not a problem. What do you mean? By the time he got to the second one, there was no shear giluach. Okay. But he doesn't need a giluach anymore. He only has 1 hair left. So the same thing here. In this case, he cut the first, and the second one fell out. It's no worse. So what's the question? Rather, the question was like this. The other way around. He had 2 strands of hair left behind. And the first one fell out. So he never got a chance to do a masa giluach on a shear of giluach. By the time he got around to cutting, there was only 1 left. That's not a shear. It's not a sufficient quantity of hair to constitute a masa of giluach, a masa of shaving. Rather say like this: Nashur achas v'gilach achas mahu. What happens if he has 2 hair left, and by the time he gets around to cutting it, 1 falls out, and then he shaves the second one? What's the halacha there? So he says like this: Amalei. So Ravina responds, you know what? Giluach enkan, se'er enkan. The Gemara at this point figures that what he meant to say was that, you know, we have no ma'aseh giluach done because there was no shear of hair, because his haircut was done only on 1 hair. It was a haircut. That's not enough. So there was no giluach done because there wasn't enough hair. Asks the Gemara, 1 second. I se'er enkan, giluach yeshkan. Well, I don't understand. If it's considered a proper hair removal, is se'er enkan, there's no hair, meaning he properly removed this hair, then giluach yeshkan, then there is a giluach. How did it happen? He shaved. Hachigam, he meant like this. Ravina says like this: there's a problem. Afal pisha se'er enkan, even though practically there's no hair left, right? Because 1 fell out and 1 was cut. Still, he has not fulfilled his mitzvah. Mitzvah's giluach enkan. You know why? Because the first time around, when he did a full haircut, he left behind 2 hair. He didn't complete the haircut. And the second time he came around, he thought he would have 2 hair, but by the time he got to it, 1 fell out. There was only 1 hair left. That's less than the minimum quantity of hair to constitute a giluach. So he was not yaitze. Okay, so what did we learn until this point? We learned that Nazir needs to have a giluach with a tar, whether he's a Nazir Tameh or a Nazir Tameh. He can't leave behind 2 hair or more. If he does so, he has to come back and cut it off as well to complete his haircut. We had a question presented by Abaye and presented by Rava. Next Mishnah. Nazir chayfev umefasfes, avaloi serik. So although Nazir may not actually take a haircut, but he can clean his hair, chayfif, he can scrub his hair, face, he can manually, sort of comb it. Avaloi surik, but he shouldn't really use a comb which carries a good chance of pulling out hair. Asks the Gemara, we seem to find an inconsistency within the Mishnah itself. It doesn't match. We all know that there's a famous halacha between Rabbi Shimon who says, Davar she'eino miskaven is mutter. So a person does something on Shabbos, or in this case regarding a Nazir, does something which can result in a malacha, or in this case result in hair removal, but he's not intending. It's not his purpose. It's not his goal. It's not his intention. It's not what he's trying to do. He's trying to clean his hair, not to remove his hair. Davar she'eino miskaven is mutter. And Rabbi Yehuda, others disagree. Even if the resulting situation was not his intention, wasn't intentional, it's still asur. So the beginning of the Mishnah, which allows a Nazir to clean his hair and to manually comb his hair, despite the fact that it carries a chance of removing his hair, it's okay because it's a davar she'eino miskaven. That matches Rabbi Shimon's shita. So chayfif face mani. Who's speaking here? Whose shita is this in line with? Rabbi Shimon. Is Rabbi Shimon the Amar davar she'eino miskaven is mut? But then avaloi surik, when we don't allow him to comb, despite the fact that once again his purpose is not to remove his hair, just to put his hair in order. So what's the problem there? Asal narabanan. Oh, apparently that's the other shita. We have to be concerned with any unintended consequences. So it seems to be a stira within the Mishnah itself. Says the Gemara. So Reisha Rabbi Shimon v'Sefer Rabbanon. Unusual that the first part of the Mishnah should reflect one shita, the second part another shita. Amar Rabbi, you know what? Kula Rabbi Shimoni. The entire Mishnah reflects Rabbi Shimon's shita. Davar she'eino miskaven is mutter. The reason why no comb should be used is because kol ha-sorik, when a fellow sits down and combs his hair properly, you know what he really has in mind? To bring law and order to his hair, to remove any loose hair as well. Lahaser, to remove nimin, hair, strands of hair, midul dolis, which are sort of half in, half out. Miskaven, that's what he has in mind as well. So inevitably, his kavanah is to pull out, to remove loose hair, and that's a problem by a Nazir. Therefore, keep away from the comb. Rabbi Shmuel adds as well. Rabbi Shmuel Eimer lo yochav ba'adama. When a Nazir cleanses his hair, he uses only a shampoo, not adama, not soil, not strong agents which can actually disrupt his hair and pull it out. Because it tends to pull out hair. So don't use adama. Question: Iboilu, the Bnei HaYeshiva wanted to know. Are we speaking about a specific brand of adama? We're speaking about a very specific type, which has this tendency. Keep away from that. But other similar, materials can be used. Other adamas can be used. Don't use any sort of adama, me hamasheres tanan. The Mishnah is concerned about one leading to the other. Don't use any soil because it might be confused with that specific type, which tends to pull out hair. What's the difference between one approach or the other? For instance, Dika Adam, you can discover Adama Deloi Masra, which doesn't tug at the hair. Can you use it or not? So it depends. If the Mishnah says don't use Adama because this Adama is Masheres, okay, then you can use the other one. If you know for a fact that the other one does not have this tendency, Shaper, then it's okay. But if your reading of the Mishnah is Mipnei Hamasheres, don't use Adama because of the other one which does tug, klal klalai. That's a comprehensive ban on all types of soil. Take it, we leave it unresolved. Here comes the next Mishnah, which we already discussed earlier in the Perek, Nazir sheyishayse yain. Kol yain. Nazir sat down for a day-long drink. He's drinking and drinking. He gets only one malchus, because, remember, in order to give a person malchus, you have to forewarn him to ascertain that, in fact, it's intentional, it's bemazed. So this fellow was warned once in the morning, and he sat a whole day drinking wine. He only gets one malchus. One hasra gets one malchus. But, Amrullah, suppose they repeated it to him once and again and again. Al tishte, al tishte. And he ignores their warnings over and over again. Don't drink, he drinks. Don't drink, he drinks. Every experience gets him another malchus. The same with giluach, with hair cutting. The same with becoming tummy to a mace. He's cutting his hair a whole day. It gets him one malchus. They warn him repeatedly, don't do it. And he violates their hasra. Every experience gets him another malchus. And thirdly, he's constantly becoming tummy to a mace. It gets him one violation. But if he's warned repeatedly, and he ignores their requests, each experience gives him another malchus. Itmar. So in the base of Medrash, they learned us like this. Amar Rabbah. Let's take a close look at the pasuk, which warns a Nazir from becoming tummy. Mikra Male Dibra Kosef. We have a full, clear pasuk warning a Nazir to keep away from any mace, any deceased person, even a relative. The pasuk says, okay, so don't come into contact with any mace. Now, we know there are three forms of contracting tumas mace. One is maga, by actually touching. One is masa, by carrying. And one is tumas oyel, by being found under the same roof as a mace. So firstly, the pasuk says, don't become tummy, which would typically include all forms of attracting tumas mace. Whether it's maga, whether it's masa, whether it's oil. So why does the pasuk have to repeat itself? When the pasuk continues and says, well, al nefesh mace lo yavai, don't enter a home where there's a mace. That's a reference to tumas oil. Why repeat it? Why go through it again? It's clear that a nazir should keep away from all forms of association with a mace. The answer is Lazhiru Yalatuma. First pasuk is warning him against becoming tummy. And then Lazhiru Yalabil. The next pasuk of Lo Yaveh tells him that he should not enter a bias that has a mace. And what's the chiddush here? That there are two possible violations. Meaning that if he enters a bias that has a mace, he gets two isurim. He has committed two violations. One is the pasuk of Lo Yitama. He became tummy. And then there's an additional layer, so to speak. The fact that he's becoming tummy in a oyel mace, he's being over Lo Yavai. There's a separate isur for that. Okay, that's Rav Huna's chiddush, based on the extra pasuk. Aval tuma v'tuma loy. But continues the Gemara. Of course, if he's already tummy, your standard type of tumas mag, touch the mace. And then, while he's touching one mace, he touches another mace. He's not going to get malchus again. Why? Because he's already tummy. He didn't add another layer of tumah upon himself. So this chiddush that we said applies only to tumas oil. That gets him a double isser because of the extra pasuk. But tumas maga, for instance, carries only one potential isser. So even if he's touching two mason at the same time, it doesn't matter, because once you're tummy, you're tummy. So that's Rabbah's quote in the name of Rav Huna. Rav Yosef Amar. Rav Yosef disagrees with Rabbah. He says like this: Ha'elikim. Rav Yosef Amar Ha'elikim. By the name of Hashem, it's a lashon of Shvu. I promise. Amar Rav Huna. I know for a fact that Rav Huna told us Afilu Tuma v'Tuma. That even if a Nazir is already tummy, he touched the mace, and then he touched another mace, he did another Isser, he gets another Malchus. How do I know this? The Amar Rav Huna told us, Nazir Shayayim Beis HaKfaros. Another is standing in a cemetery. He already touched the mace, touched the caver. He's tummy. And he was handed his mace, meaning, let's say, a relative of his, which typically a person is supposed to look after, but in the case of a Nazir, he's not supposed to. Or just a stranger, a mace, doesn't matter. The bottom line is, it's just an example. He's already tummy, and he came into contact with another mace. He touched that second mace, chayiv. He's chayiv again, another malchus, upon the second tumah. Amai, why? Hametami v'koyim. He's already tummy to begin with. Elo lav shmamino. The fact that Rav Huna tells us that he's chayiv upon the second experience, upon the second negiah, teaches us that in fact Amar Rav Huna, afilu tuma v'tuma, that Rav Huna's personal opinion is that even if a Nazir was already tummy and becomes tummy again, he gets another malchus. So again, Rabbah's version of Rav Huna was only by Tumas oil is there a double malchus, but by Maga and Maga, no. Once he's tummy, he's tummy. There's no additional layer of Tumah, and there's no reason for another malchus. However, Rav Yosef quotes Rav Huna otherwise. Even Tumah v'Tumah, he was already tummy, he touched the mace again, he gets another malchus. Eis v'Abaye. Abaye, as we know, was a Talmud of Rav Yosef, and he asked him Rav Yosef from a Bryce, Koyen Shayulei Mace. So the Bryce speaks about a Koyen. Kohen Gadol is not meant to get tummy to anyone, even to a close relative, and actually there's a girsa which switches it to Nazir. So whatever the case is, a fellow who's not meant to become tummy, period. Shahayla mace munachak seifei. So for whatever reason, he had a mace over his shoulder. He was in contact with a mace. He was already tummy. And then he was handed a relative a mace, or a stranger a mace, and he touched that mace as well. Perhaps there's another chiyuv as a result of that second negiah, that second contact. No, the pasuk says that there's a pasuk by the way we have it. It's a pasuk by the Kohen Gadol. Don't defile your holiness. That's the way the Torah warns him from becoming tummy. So you're meant to be tar, don't become tummy. That's only b'misha eina mechulo. That's a reference to a person who's clean, who's not yet tummy. Don't become tummy. And if you become tummy, wow, you will over the Isser, you get malchus. As opposed to this fellow who's already tummy, he's already mechulo. He wasn't supposed to touch the mace to begin with. He's already tummy, it's too late. The Yotze says, as opposed to this fellow who's already in contact with the mace, he's already in a state of defilement. So touching another mace doesn't add any tumah. It will not earn him another malchus. So clearly says Abaye, we see from this Bryce that there's no double dipping. There's no double jeopardy here. He's already tummy. That's it. You can't add another malchus upon that second negiah. So Rav Yosef says to him, look, I hear your question, but what about our Mishnah, which indicates that there is another penalty for becoming tummy again? Take a look at our Mishnah. This non. We have the Mishnah by the Nazir, which says, a Nazir became tummy once and again throughout the entire day. But since it was only one hasra'ah, how many malchus does he get? One. But suppose he transgressed many warnings. They told him, don't become tummy, and he became tummy. Don't become tummy again. He becomes tummy again. Every tumah gets him another malchus. What do you mean? How can that be? He's already tummy. Once he touched the mace in the morning, he became tummy. It's too late. How could you give him another malchus for coming into contact with the mace again? Says the Gemara, you're right. So, whether it's the Gemara or Rav Yosef, bottom line is, now we have a clear-cut contradiction between our Mishnah. Now there is another Malkus as a result of the next contact with the mace, despite the fact that he's already tummy, he gets another Malkus for the next tumah, and the Brisa, which we quoted a minute ago, Lo yechalel, don't defile your kedusha. But if you're already tummy, there is no chiyuv. How do we reconcile this contradiction? Says the Gemara like this. Like Kasha, the answer is like this. It depends when. Basically, if you're adding another layer of tumah upon yourself, yes, then you're responsible. But otherwise, you're not. Kan bichiburin, kan shaloi bichiburin. So when the Brisa says there is no second chiyuv for becoming tummy again, that's when the fellow is still holding on to the mace, bichibur, and is still sort of connected to it. So in that type of situation, touching another mace while simultaneously holding on to the first mace doesn't add anything to your tumah. So there is no chiyuv as a result of that second negiyah. Kan shalei b'chibur, as opposed to our Mishnah, which holds him responsible for touching the mace again that same day. Shalei b'chibur. He has already disengaged from the first mace by the time he went to the second mace. And therefore, it's considered a new experience. Why? Because it adds another tumah. So you'll ask, what do you mean? We know that a mace is called the source of all tumahs. It's called the avi avos hatumah, right? A person who comes into contact with a mace is called an av hatumah, like a father, a source of tumah. It's tumah for 7 days. He touches somebody else, that person becomes a rishon l'tumah, the next level. Only tumah till the night, on that day. Right? So the tumah sort of progressively weakens as it goes down the chain, as it goes down the ladder. So the Farshim explain like this. While a person touches a mace, the mace is the avi havos, sort of the grandfather. So when I touch the mace, I become an avatuma. At that point, while I'm in contact with the mace, I become a conduit. The person becomes like a conductor, like a pipeline. In which case, if somebody else touches him, I touch a mace, I become a conductor. Somebody touches me at that moment, while I'm still in contact with the mace, it sort of gets transferred directly to that other person in an undiluted fashion, and makes that other person an av hatuma as well, just like me. It does not go down a level. So again, if I touch a mace, I become an avatuma. I let go of the mace, I'm an avatuma, and then I touch Shimon, he becomes a rishon l'tumah, only tummy till tonight. Right? So, in that case, if I touch a mace and I become an avatum, I let go of the mace, and I touch another mace, I haven't really added anything to my tumah. I was an avatuma when I touched the first mace, and I'm still an avatuma. Nothing changed. But when I touch, while I'm touching the mace, if while I'm touching the mace, which makes me an avatuma, Shimon comes over to me and touches me, he will now also become an avatuma because I conduct the tumah over to him. So that will be the chiluk between the Mishnah and the Brisa. When the Brisa says that touching a mace once and again does not constitute a new violation, I should say it doesn't create a new malchus, let's put it that way. That's b'chibur. That's speaking where I'm touching mace 1, and then I go and touch mace 2 at the same time. So mace 2 didn't add anything to my experience. Because suppose somebody else would approach me at that point and touch me. So whether he touches me while I'm only in contact with mace 1, or he touches me while I'm touching mace 1 and mace 2, there's no difference. Either way, I'm a conductor of Tumah. And just like I'm an Avatuma, he's an Avatuma. But the fact that I touched mace 2 as well doesn't add anything to my experience, whether to me or to him. Again, there are two mason here. I'm the Nazir. I'm touching mace 1. And as I'm touching mace 1, B'chiburin, right, that's called B'chiburin, I'm touching him. Shimon approaches me and touches me. What happens? I become a conductor. And just like I'm an Avatuma, Shimon is an Avatuma. And suppose with my other hand, I reach out to mace 2 at the same time. So I'm touching mace 1 with my right hand, mace 2 with my left hand. Nothing changes. Not pertaining to myself, I'm still an Avatuma. Not pertaining to Shimon who touches me, who will also be an Avatuma. Right? But the fact that I'm touching mace 2 in addition to mace 1 doesn't add anything, not to me and not to him. Right? Whether he touches me while I'm only touching mace 1, or whether he comes and touches me while I'm touching mace 1 and mace 2, no difference. So basically, touching mace 2 didn't add anything to my experience, or to his experience. And therefore, there's no additional malchus upon touching mace 2, as opposed to the Mishnah, which says there is an additional malchus. By becoming tummy again, it should loy be chiburin. I had already let go of mace 1. I touched mace 1, walked away. Now, let's stop for a sec. At this juncture, right here, I'm an Avatuma. And Shimon approaches me and touches me. I'm not a conductor anymore because I'm detached from the mace. So he's just a Rishon L'Tumah. But now that I walk over to mace number 2 and I touch that, at that moment, I become a conductor again. And if somebody theoretically comes over to me at that moment and touches me, the Avatuma travels through me into him. So basically, that second contact, that second association, that second Tumas mace, elevates me for the time being, makes me a higher level of Tumah, makes me a conductor of Tumah, which can theoretically extend to the person who touches me. And that's why it's called a new experience, which carries a new penalty. Kan b'chiburin, kan b'shaloi b'chiburin. So again, b'chiburin means that if while I'm touching mace 1, I touch mace B, there's no added element here. Therefore, there's no malchus for that. Kan shaloi b'chiburin, the Mishnah is speaking, I've let go of the first mace, then touch the second mace. That adds a new dimension, because while I'm in contact with the second mace, I'm a conductor. That's a new level of Tumah, and a new Chiyav Malchus. Asks the Gemara, really? This idea of a conductor while I'm touching, that's a Deiraisa concept which can generate Malchus? V'Tumah b'chibur and Deiraisa? How can you say that? It would seem that it's only a Chumra M'Darabanan. Ha'amar Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef Rav Yanai. Well, the Tumah b'chibur, and this idea that I'm conducting Tumah only applies to certain things. Elul Truma v'Kachim. Regarding Truma and Kachim. So basically, if somebody touches me while I'm in contact with a mace, that person has to be off Truma and off Kachim for 7 days. He gets the most stringent Truma because I'm a conductor. Only for Truma and Kachim. Aval Nazir, but regarding other halachis. See, Truma and Kachim, it's just he can't eat Truma, okay, he can't eat Kachim. It's very important to have Truma and Kachim. It's a mitzvah saseh. So it's a bittul mitzvah saseh. Okay, so Chachamim made a gzeira, keep away from Truma and Kachim. But when it comes to Aval Nazir, or Pesach, when it comes to halachas of Nazir, or a person foregoing his current Pesach opportunity, we don't apply the stringency. So even if a person touches me while I'm in contact with a mace, that person does not become tummy for 7 days pertaining to Nazir and Eisei Pesach. It doesn't nullify his Nazirus, and he can bring the Pesach that night. V'yamrus de'rais, and if you can tell me this whole idea of a conductor is minat Torah, ma'ishna, how can you differentiate between Truma and Pesach? So bottom line is, it appears that this Tumah b'chiburin concept is not minat Torah. Answers the Gemara, you know what? You're right, but you're wrong. It depends regarding what stage we're speaking about. Kan bechiburi adam ba'adam, kan bechiburi adam b'meis. The first stage is minater. The second stage isn't. So in our case, we have a mace, and I'm touching the mace. Bechibur, I'm in contact. Shimon approaches me and touches me bechibur, and while I'm in contact with the mace, I'm a conductor regarding Shimon. He gets my tumah. He gets my tumah's mace. He becomes an ava tumah for 7 days. That's minater. Kan bechiburi adam b'meis. When he's touching a person who's touching a mace, so he's at that first stage, that's minater. Kan bechiburi adam ba'adam. When we said that it's only a chumr d'Rabbanan, that's a step further. Another fellow touched him while he's touching me, while I'm touching a mace. That far, that's only midrabanan. Right? So midrabanan, we take it a step further. By touching the mace, I get the tumah. I transfer it to Shimon. That's minat Torah. But if at that very moment Levi is touching Shimon as well, so that next step is only midrabanan. To consider Levi tamei for 7 days, that's midrabanan. And as we say, that only applies to certain things, truma v'kacha, but not nazir v'ised pesach. But that first step is minat Torah, and that explains our Mishnah why he'll get malchus repeatedly, because as we said, when you have that second negiah b'mace, while you're touching that mace, you become a conductor. That elevates you to a higher status, and is considered a new tumah experience, which deserves a new malchus. Okay, so in conclusion, a nazir is meant to do giluach bitar, a complete giluach, without leaving behind shtei saris. He left behind shtei saris, comes back to cut them, but his hair is now regrown. Abai is not sure whether it works anymore. Rava wants to know, in a case where one of those two hair were shaved, but one fell out. According to Ravina, if it fell out and then the second one was cut, it doesn't work because there was no shiur of seir when he approached it for giluach. According to Reb Shimon, davar she'ein miskaved mutter, a nazir may cleanse his hair, wash his hair, but not in a manner where it's reflective of kavana to remove hair. Rabbi Shmuel warns us to be careful from using any cleansing agents which can pull out those hair. If a nazir violates his halacha, drinks wine, etc., if it was done in response to one warning, one malchus, many warnings, many malchus, how can a nazir get malchus again and again for tumah? So Rav Huna tells us, tumas oil gets him 2 malchus based on the extra pasuk. What about tumas maga once and then again? So the way the Gemara concludes, well, all depends. Whether it's bichiburn or shaloi bichiburn. So if he's touching one mace, at the same time touches another, that doesn't add another layer of tumah. It's not a new experience. However, if he touched one mace, let go, and then touched again, that enables him to become a conductor. So while he's touching that second mace, he's able to transfer that tumah in a very pristine form to that other person who touches him. That potential transfer is indicative of a higher level of tumah, and it's considered a new experience which can generate a new malchus. All the best to you, Hatzlacha Rabba and B'suras Tevei.